Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm going to drink some water. What are you doing?
I'm nursing some like heat yuckiness right now, but I think the Tums are helping, so I'm okay.
Tums for heat yuckiness? Like, do you felt nauseous?
Well, yeah, because my stomach went flop, flop. I just went outside to brush our dog
Yeah.
for like 10 minutes because she's part golden retriever, and 10 minutes in like 98-degree heat is
Is it
just
really
not
that
good.
hot out
I
right
guess.
now?
I don't know
It's
what.
fucking 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we're closer to the sun here. And yes, it is after 6, but it's still hot, like even in the shade.
That's a bummer. That's a real big bummer.
Yeah, bro, we got to get away from the sun.
Again, I don't think we can get farther from the sun.
I know, but I'm wearing like SPF 70 when I go outside, and I'm still getting like little tiny freckles here and there, and it's really annoying. I'm a Celt. I can't be out there doing that. I can't be out there less than SPF 70.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
But I wear a hat and long sleeves, and I still am getting little frecklies. It's frustrating.
Well, that's normal, right? They're not.
Yeah, I guess it's normal.
I mean, some people, when they tan, their freckles just pop out first, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
Anywho.
It's back to school season.
What?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, it's back to school season. And I've realized I've done the math.
It's the beginning of August. What do you mean back to school?
Dude, Tennessee just had their annual tax-free weekend, the weekend before school starts.
No. But
yeah.
When do they get let out? They don't even get a full 3 months of summer?
No, they never have.
Oh, gross.
I give our kids 3 months. I don't start them until September 1st.
I got 3 months. I got 3 full months when I was a kid.
Well, you were in California.
Did you not get
No
3 months?
No. We started mid-August, and I think we went to like late or mid-May.
What's that all about?
Yeah.
So where does the whole cliche of getting 3 months off for summer come from?
California, probably.
Oh, it might be because it's always in the movies like that. It might be because that's just the way that California does it.
Maybe.
That makes
Anyways,
sense.
I did the math. This is my 20th year homeschooling. I've been homeschooling for 20 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Back to school always like at least right now, but still, even when our kids were in high school and I took them to public school,
Yeah.
germs, man. And now it's even worse now because
because the kids are going back to school during a new outbreak of polio.
Yeah. What in the F are people doing out there?
I don't know. It's just going to keep getting worse.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, tax-free weekend. Now I teeter on the fence of it might be a scam to get you to spend more money, or you're spending that money anyways. You might as well save a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
except for they have all kinds of don't they have all kinds of restrictions and stuff?
So for the one, it's school supplies, clothing, and computers. But computers, you have to prove you're a student and all that stuff.
Also, you have to spend a certain amount on the computer. So
right, you have to spend at least $1,500 or something like that.
That's silly.
And for clothing and school supplies, it's up to $100. Well, people, you can get around that. You just do a couple transactions and, you're good.
Yeah.
But if you're spending $200, which is what I try to aim for, because we save throughout the year, and then I can splurge just a little bit. It's only saving $20 because here tax is high because it's almost 10 cents on the dollar. So I'm only saving us $20, but I figure if we're buying it anyways, I'm going to save a little bit.
Well, $20 is a substantial amount of savings, I feel.
Yeah. It feels nice in the moment. And then
actually, it depends on what the thing is, I guess. Some things I don't mind spending money on, and other things I'm I'm not going to pay $20 for that.
Yeah.
Right? That.
Yes, exactly. You're $20 to get a trash pickup for a mattress? What?
It just
so funny.
Look, I know that there's fees involved, right?
Yeah.
Extra fees involved, but it just sounded when you said oh, you got to call this thing and then they'll come pick up garbage and it's $20 for things. I just felt like that's almost what I pay for just garbage pickup normally. Why am I going to pay double to pick up one extra thing?
Yeah, I guess. But, you know, when we lived in other places, we could just go to the dump, right? Or the landfill and take things there, right? But when you live in a place where it's more of a community and like a neighborhood, they don't, where is the landfill here? I don't even know.
I grew up calling it the dumps.
Yeah,
but I think
me
maybe
too.
that's just because of what my parents called it. But I wonder if that's a regional thing.
I don't know. That's why I'm saying.
Because when I try to Google the dumps, it doesn't come up.
I think it's just being a country kid or not, because, you say the dump and our kids go, what are you talking about? I'm like, where you take the trash. You mean the city landfill, Mom? Yeah, that's it.
City landfill.
Anyways, then they did this fun thing, which they've never done, I don't think, at least the time that we've lived here. This whole month of August is tax-free on food and ingredients, which is kind of nice because that's where we do spend most of our.
We spend so much money on food.
But we are also, we also have a specific diet or whatever too. So we're trying to get whole foods, right? And so that can get expensive, especially when you're having to like pick groceries up rather than go in the store, kind of a thing.
And feed 6 people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And we're feeding 6 people and 3 dogs and a cat.
It's a lot of money, though.
It is a lot.
On food. The thing that bothers me about that is that you have to keep doing it all of the time. Okay, this is a dumb example, but if I pay $100 for a board game, for a fancy deluxe board game, that's mine until I've destroyed it.
Right.
But if I pay $100 for groceries, that's mine until it's gone,
right.
Which is, with 6 people.
It's like 3
fast.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even 3 days. It's a day, maybe. And food's gone.
Yeah.
And then it's a bad investment.
Yeah. No, because,
I know you have to feed the kids and eat and live and stuff, but I just feel like it shouldn't be so expensive, and it's just getting more expensive. I remember when we were first starting out, we could get for $100, we could get everybody fed for a week, right? And now it's like $600, right? That's a lot of money, or that's a big difference.
Yeah.
In 20 years, I feel like it should not have increased that much.
I agree with you.
Right. Like it should, I'm not saying prices shouldn't go up. Right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they shouldn't go up exponentially like that.
Yeah. It's wild to think about, because when we were first a couple, gas was like 96 cents.
Yeah.
And when Liam was born almost 24 years ago, at this point, gas was 97 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And now it's like 4 something.
Yeah. And that.
So it's pretty wild to think of, in only 26 years or 24 years, it's gone up that much.
Yeah. But it fluctuates too. Like there's been times where it's been back down to like $1.97 or something. Yeah. But groceries don't do that. Groceries don't fluctuate. They get more expensive and stay more expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. It's not like potatoes goes up to $1 and then drops back down. It just keeps on going up.
Yeah.
And it's just
we got to
silly.
keep us in potatoes.
No, for sure. It just feels like, where's the extra
potatoes.
Cost coming from?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean,
because potatoes haven't improved over time. It's a potato 20 years ago to now.
I'll try to grow potatoes.
And I get cost of I guess it, what they say is it comes down to like supply chain costs, right? Like how do we get the potato from the farm to your table?
Right.
But those prices also haven't increased that much, right? Like, I don't know. It bothers me.
It's wild.
It bothers me. Ooh. Think of it this way, and then I'll shut up about it.
Okay, because
it's gone from 100 to 600 in 20 years
Oh, our
for
grocery bill.
for a grocery bill.
Yeah.
But then something like a PlayStation console has gone from 300, or I'm sorry, 200 to 500 in the same span of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But
Why is that not at the exact same amount, right? 6 times for groceries,
yeah.
but it's only gone up 2 times for a PlayStation. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
Not even 2 times, 1.5 times.
there are 6 of us.
But what I'm saying is 6 of us, we could have fed 6 of us on $100. I'm using the
Oh,
same
yeah, I
group
get-
of
okay, I get
people
what you're
with the
saying.
old prices,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. Oh, we watched Paper Girls on Amazon.
Paper Girls
Yes.
did not. Okay. The only complaint I have about it is it looks like they didn't have a very big special effects budget.
Mm.
So some of the special effects are bad, just poorly done.
Yeah.
So there, that budget I think was just low. And I don't know why that is, other than maybe like they just weren't ready to fully bet on it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, because it was so good,
It was very good.
I'm hoping that it being that good
Yeah.
and people saying this is great, will give them a better budget for a second season, which they have to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to do spoilers in this because it's still so new, but it ends on a cliffhanger.
Major
one, right?
cliffhangers. Yes.
So they have to do a season 2,
I
and if they
hope
don't,
they
it'll be a
do.
bummer. But maybe they'll get a bigger budget for the next season, and then their special effects can be a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
They weren't like take you out of it bad, but they were like compared to what we've seen, even just like in The Boys, another TV show, they just weren't great, right? And maybe some of that was on purpose because of the subject matter, but I think maybe not on purpose, right? Maybe just budgetary constraints. But other than that, I loved every minute of that show.
Yeah.
I bought the whole comic book run.
Yeah, it's based on a graphic novel,
It's
right?
based on a graphic novel originally by Brian K. Vaughan, who also writes Saga. Or did I say that right? Saga, which I love.
Uh-huh.
But this one is finished, Paper Girls. So I just bought the big old volume of it.
Yeah.
And I started reading it after we finished
Really?
the show, because I didn't want to taint anything. Like I didn't want to like go, oh, this isn't like the book.
Yeah.
I'd rather like enjoy that show, love it, and then get more from the book, right? But I just the acting is so good in it. I cared about all of the characters equally. Like I wasn't like, oh, who cares what happens to Aaron? I was like, oh no, not Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, not Mac, right? I was into the whole thing. Like it's such a good show.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you who your favorite character is.
Oh gosh. So at first my favorite character was Mac. And then I started to like everybody. But I feel like towards the end of the show, I started to really care the most about KJ.
Oh.
Just because of what happened.
Yeah.
And like just understanding that confusion. But I also really, 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 really liked adult Tiff. That actress did such a good job.
And this is her like first acting, like real
it's
big
her
budget acting.
First, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
So good, yeah. Great casting too, because they really do, whenever they introduced an adult version, it really did look like the teen version.
Yeah.
Which is tough to do. But yeah, I loved that show. There was parts where I was like, oh, they're not going to be able, they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger because there's just not enough episodes. And they're like taking really this whole episode to just tell us this one tiny story.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they're going to lost us. They're going to lost us. But they never did. They never repeated anything from a different point of view. They just kept telling the story forward. But they did cliffhanger us. Yeah. But it was huge. And like a big reveal at the end. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I can't wait for some more of that.
Yeah. I can't help that when we're watching something and there's younger kids, I can't help like comparing myself to one of those kids.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, who am I going to be in these girls? And automatically you just know that it's Mac. Except for like the biased things that she says and like the derogatory things that she says. I wasn't like that,
Well, yeah,
but
but
I
she was
was
getting
more
that from her dad and her brother,
right.
and she's just parroting, right? Yeah.
But like just her whole attitude and demeanor, that was so me. She's like, I'm not wearing a fucking dress. It's so me.
Do you feel like I don't I feel like I know the answer to this question, but do you feel like you ever did that with your dad when you were younger and you still had stars in your eyes for him, like that you would parrot his bad takes?
not the bad stuff. I always
Yeah.
felt like I could call BS on
Yeah.
grown-ups, like always.
Yeah.
And because there would be things that he would say, and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that way. When he would say like, he really loves or loved animals,
Hmm.
and in like a really special way. And I was, oh, I want, when I grow up, I want to be like that, or I wonder what it feels like to have a horse and to have a
Yeah.
horse love you like that and stuff. But then he would say like really derogatory, mean things, and I would go, oh, I don't, and it's part of the reason why little girls and their dads, that's their first example of an
Yeah.
opposite sex. And so you either like that or you want that in a partner eventually in the future, or it makes you like kind of break up with them a little bit, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And definitely I was like, ooh, I don't know, that I don't like that. That makes me sad. And then I wouldn't like confide so much in him anymore
Yeah.
when he would say something like that, because then I realized very soon, very early on, that it wasn't safe to really like say certain things.
Yeah.
Or I would say things to like contrast exactly. Like he was a big Steelers fan from minute one in his life. He was a Steelers fan. So there was a time in high school where, and I feel terrible about it now, but it was funny to me at the time. I would root for the Cowboys anytime that the Steelers and the Cowboys would play, and
Yeah.
I bought a Cowboys sweatshirt and stuff, and so I like, yeah, go. And so it kind of, I felt like it broke his heart just a tiny little bit, but it was just my way of being like, I'm different than you, and you're not.
It was your way of rebelling was
Yeah.
a Cowboys
I mean,
fan.
don't get me wrong. I talked mad shit and I talked back and I got slapped in the face all the time.
Yeah.
But it was just another little dig that I could do to, push them away from me,
Yeah.
because I didn't really agree with that kind of. But now I like the Steelers better than anything else. It's just my way of like still being connected to them, but not really. I don't know.
So Mac is your favorite character?
Mac is my favorite character,
Yeah.
just because I see so much of me in there.
Yeah.
That it's like that saying, like if you sit with anger long enough, and that's her main thing, is that she lashes out and she swears a bunch and she's
Yeah.
kind of really rough on the outside, that if you sit with that long enough, it's because of her, and she hasn't been able to like really confide in anyone until these girls,
Yeah.
and they all go through some shit together, and then she's like, and she panics a little bit.
I think they're all very relatable characters.
Yes, in each in their own ways.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're just so great.
Yeah,
They're
it
so
was
great.
wonderful. What a wonderful show. Yeah, I really can't wait for more of that.
Me
I
too.
liked it a lot.
The science stuff goes kind of over my head because I don't know all that. Like,
Oh, yeah. You shouldn't have brought that
interdimensional-
up because I do have another complaint.
the interdimensional, like wormhole-y things. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but in this show, it's saying like you can time warp and then you can run into your older self. Well, how could that be if certain things happen in a previous timeline? How can then you be like, I don't know. I don't know how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's being quote unquote accurate to what it really is.
They don't really explain this, and that's what bothers me a little bit about that. But again,
I think we just have to go with it.
it's
some
minor,
point.
but like if the younger version
Mm-hmm.
of you time traveled
Yeah.
and met the older version of you, the older version of you, if you're in the same timeline,
Would remember, right?
should remember having done the time traveling and meeting themselves.
Yeah. Unless.
But none of them do.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think that, and they haven't revealed anything about this yet, but it makes me think that there might be some universe jumping, like
Yes.
dimension jumping, and not just time travel on the same timeline, but like splitting the timeline,
Sideways traveling
like
rather than
yeah,
going back and forth.
Universe A, young children jump, and now they're in universe B, and they meet their older selves,
Right.
right?
That makes, but then
It also would explain some of the other like little interactions where they don't understand each other because they're from different universes. If they're from different universes, they would have different lived experiences.
right.
Right.
And so then it makes getting back home that much more complicated because now you're not just moving backwards and forwards in time.
Well, in
Now you're
theory, you
moving,
couldn't go home. If you were
right?
doing it the side slip, if you weren't on the same timeline and you jumped forward and jumped universes, you'd have no control over that. So you could not control your descent back to your own time. So you would again end in a different universe.
Yeah. It's mind boggling, but
This is
right.
none of this is real, but
Yeah,
in
I
my
get it.
mind, there has to be some logic to it, or else
Right.
it's harder to follow.
You at least have to follow some sort of already known theory, right? Of time travel and
Yeah.
wormholes and all that stuff and alternate realities in order for any of what they're talking about to make sense
Right.
or at least to follow along. But I just like the fun interaction stuff and how they handle, and they're like, what, 12? It's great. I
Yeah.
love there's only like my favorite part of the whole show or the whole season that we've watched so far is when one of the girls gets her period for the very first time
Oh,
and how they handle that situation. Oh, it's lovely. It's funny. I love it.
and
It's great.
no one else had.
Yes. They're
So
the first
none of
one in the
them
group.
had any answers.
No.
And they'd already jumped, so they couldn't talk to their parents.
Yeah, they couldn't really
Yeah.
like have anyone to confide in.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that's what makes that show great, is because it's a supernatural show about time traveling, meeting your future selves, but they didn't focus on that. They focused on the realities of those human characters
Yeah.
and like what they were going through whilst also being thrown into this
Yeah.
time traveling roller coaster.
And each one of the girls is in a very different situation than the other girl.
Yeah.
And like it's different ethnicities and it's like different walks of life kind of. It's
The literal only thing they have in common is that they were all paper girls, like delivering
like
papers,
throwing newspapers.
and that they all got sucked into this time loop.
Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing they have in common. And at first they had just met each other. And then over the course of the show, they grow a bond
Yeah.
that's undeniable.
Yeah.
And watching that was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
It's great.
I'm sorry. I really
It's a great
liked it.
show. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we did something very, very sad. And I want to know if anyone else has gone through this. Also, I forgot to talk to you about this part of it. You've sold cars before, right? Like you've had to, you've gotten cars before you met me, right? And then you've gotten rid of them. So like why? Because we just recently we sold our minivan because we don't really need it right this second. And it's paid off, but it's going to depreciate over time. And so we got the best deal that we could. But it's really sad. Why is it so sad to give up a car? What is it about cars?
I don't think it's all cars. I think it's just the ones you get attached to because they come to your life and become something that's reliable for you for a period of time. And especially with the ship, the town and
Yeah.
country, that has been a huge part of our lives.
Yeah, I refuse to call it a minivan, so I called it my spaceship.
Right. You named it Serenity and
Yeah.
you had Firefly stickers on it. But it brought Fred home from the hospital.
Yeah.
It took me and brought me home from the hospital.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of like, it got us back and forth to country a few times. It got us back and forth to Memphis a bunch.
Yeah. We took our very first like official
Vacation.
family
in it.
vacation
Yeah.
to Florida in it. I don't know. I know it's the best decision. Like I keep saying that. I know it's the best decision for right now, but it's still emotionally, it was like giving up something that I didn't want. I didn't want her to think that I was getting rid of her and I didn't appreciate her,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I hope that she can go and protect someone else's family. I don't know. I'm just emotionally attached to things sometimes.
I think it's totally normal. I used to get emotionally attached to my bicycles when I was younger.
Yeah.
I gave them names, and it's because they were symbolic of freedom in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And a car, in a lot of ways, is symbolic of freedom, right? Like
Yeah.
you have a car, you can do whatever you want, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, within reason, you can just go somewhere. You're
Yeah.
not stuck where you are if you have a car,
Yeah.
right? And you
And if
know,
you have a
both
good
of
one.
us, yeah, both of us growing up had really shitty luck or shitty vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, before I met you, I only ever had used Ford Torinos. Um, you know, I had a Fairlane once, and then I also had a Pontiac 6000, but they were all junk, right? Like I didn't get super attached to any of them because they were always breaking down or
Yeah.
they weren't really reliable.
Oh, okay. So it's more like a relief thing to get rid of that.
Not really a relief. No, I wouldn't say relief. I was really bummed out about my first Torino,
Mm.
getting rid of that because I had saved up money and
Mm-hmm.
it was a big deal. I bought it for myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I like sat in the driveway washing it and waxing it and like, you know, pampering it.
Yeah.
So that one was a bummer. But yeah, losing Paul, which was our first car together
Yeah. Our
as a
first
couple,
truck.
that was tough.
We
And
named him Paul Rogers because we
yeah,
listened to.
bad company on the way
Yeah.
to buy it. But you know, and then with the ship, that was our first major family purchase
Yeah.
for the family, right?
Yeah. But it had the sliding doors so you could get a car seat in and out really easily, even if
Yeah.
some jackwagon parked too close to you.
Yeah.
It was great.
We bought Serenity in 2013, brand new,
Yeah.
and then you know it's 2022 now.
I know. It's
But we just weren't using
It's
her
just
because
really
we have the
sad.
Prius for you know going to the
Thankfully-
grocery store and stuff,
Thankfully, the Prius doesn't use hardly any gas whatsoever.
right? And we're keeping the Ram truck just because having a pickup truck is a smart thing to have.
Yeah.
You know, he's got really low mileage because barely
we don't
barely
use
drove
it.
him.
But like, I don't know. It's kind of it's sentimental.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Ooh, Saturday, sentimental day. Our baby is going to
It
be
is Sunday.
or next Saturday.
Oh,
sorry.
next Saturday.
Our baby is going to be the same age as you when you had him.
The age I was when he was born.
Yes.
I didn't have him.
Well, okay.
That was your thing.
Yeah,
You
okay.
did that.
Oh, speaking of
I don't want to take any of the
That's true.
effort that you put into that.
That's true. 19 hours I spent trying to get that little guy out of my body. And he even brought that up. He was like, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" And he did this last year too. He goes, "For my birthday." And I'm like, "I'm getting you presents. Would you please?" Because he always goes, I don't want any presents. And I go, "Okay, fine, whatever." But I always get him presents. But then he goes, "Can you do me a favor? And whatever you do, however you do it, could you not stress out? Like, that's
Yeah.
my birthday wish.
Well, then
Can
you do
not
every
stress
birthday
out?"
you stress out.
I do, but it's because I want to make it nice and I want to make it cool and stuff.
Yeah.
But he goes, "Could you not?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll try really, really hard." So last year I did things ahead of time. I made sure everything was planned out and I just didn't stress out. So then he goes, "This year, it's more like it's your day and my day." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really sweet," because I've seen that. I've seen other people go, you know, "I do this for my mom, but you know, it's my birthday, but it's her day too," because, you know, you spend a lot of time trying to get those kids and that day, you know, is really
Well, you
difficult
spent
and special.
9 months and 19 hours
I
to
mean,
get that one
yes,
specifically.
it was 41 weeks
Yikes.
and 19 hours
Yeah.
to try to get.
And that was a hard labor for you.
Yeah. So he wants pie for his birthday treat, and he goes, "Can we make it together?" I'm like, "Oh, that's really nice." And so it's really sweet when they realize all the work and effort you put into things, and then
Yeah.
they see you. I like that. I think it's pretty special.
Yeah.
But he's going to be 24.
I know.
Yikes.
That is a yikes. That's a big yikes.
I was 19 and a half when I had him.
No, we're not
And
supposed to tell people this.
yeah, I was 19 and a half when I had him. I was going to turn 20 in the next few months, but
I was 24 years,
you would
1 month, and 1 day old when he was born.
yeah. Yeah. We were just little ones. We were just youngins.
Well, I wasn't that young.
Yes, you were.
No, I was pulling a Dane Cook.
No. Oh, gross. No, you were not.
I was like, hey, baby.
Stop it.
You want to come over to my house?
You were not.
My face is melting. Do you
No.
want to?
No, stop. You were not.
Yeah. I feel bad about it sometimes.
No, I was 19 going on like 40. I was not the typical 19-year-old.
Yeah.
I was ready for other things. I was ready to live and make it all happen.
I was 24 and still 12.
Yes, it was kind of the opposite.
I don't know.
Oh.
I had a rough time in California before I moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
And so when I got there, I was kind of just like, well, maybe I'll revert a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and just see what life is like when I don't have to think about being a responsible adult.
Yeah.
And then, we had that kid and I was like, oh, I guess I got to do this now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like I've done a pretty good job of being a responsible adult.
Yes.
Even though every single day my brain's like, let's just do something else, anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or I go, hey, could you put this in the laundry? You go, I know, I'll do laundry in a minute. I'm like, okay, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I do have a trauma response around chores.
Yeah.
Because of like, it. I just feel like, hey, your chore is this, and it doesn't matter when it gets done as long as it gets done every time it's supposed to.
Yeah, but when I was talking to the boys earlier today, I was like, but when you have a partner and you know for a fact their brain goes at 199 miles an hour, sometimes it may feel like, yeah, I'll get it done, isn't a good enough thing. And you go, they're going to forget. They're not going to do
fair.
it.
That's fair.
And so then I go, should I say anything or should I not say something? I should probably say something just to make sure I'm communicating. Because I've been
that's
guilty
totally
of that
fair.
too, where I don't communicate my expectation. I just go, hey, this would be cool. And you go, it would be cool. Go ahead. And I go, could you help me do that? You're like, oh, okay. All right. That's fine. But I don't communicate sometimes. And then it bites me in the butt. I go, I should have said, this is high priority, man.
Yeah, it just bums me out. Like when I don't know the full, like if I have, oh, okay, this is what you want done, but that's all, I just have that one piece of information and I don't have the truth of what you actually want. It was like, do this at this time or by this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you remind me, I feel like I fucked up.
Right.
I feel like I failed somehow because I didn't read the situation correctly. And then I get irritated because I'm like, well, I'm trying to help, but I didn't know you also needed this, right?
Yeah. It's very difficult, especially if you just kind of jump into being a couple and just jump into being parents and things go at a, quick rate of speed and you're just like trying to hold on and go, okay, I need to make sure everything gets done.
Yeah.
And you forget to like slow down and communicate and go, okay, they're just a person just like me. They have feelings just like me. They're sensitive just like me.
Yeah.
And then you actually have to stop and go, stop feeling that. They're not out to get you, or they're not going to react badly if you approach it in a different way, which is very hard when, you didn't have a good example of all that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just like, but you, and it's instead of pointing fingers, you go, it's like that really ridiculous saying, but it's so true. It's like, it's not you versus them. It's you and them versus the problem or the chore or the schedule or the whatever it is. You have to take that out from between the two of you or who, and put it up So it's like you two versus that thing, not, you versus them, which is hard to remember when you're in the thick of
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a problem where I don't want to disappoint people who I
Mm-hmm.
care about. And so like if I feel like I've disappointed you, then I have like that's a trigger for me. I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
Yeah.
Why are you mad at me?
When
Yeah.
I'm totally not even mad at you,
Right.
or not even like even thinking about maybe getting mad at you. It's like not even a little spark of getting mad at you, but you're like, oh, I did something wrong. What did I do?
Yeah. Anger was not even a twinkle in your eye yet.
Yeah. But it's like you get asked, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you mad? Why are you mad at me? Like
Yeah.
enough times that it just gets irritating. That's what I'm always afraid of. And then I have to check myself and go, okay, relax. Nothing bad's gonna happen right this
Right.
second. Just take a deep breath and then respond with kindness. It doesn't always help because I go, yeah, shush. Well, you can't talk to me, right? And so you just react sometimes, which is not a nice thing to do.
Yeah. I think it's okay though, generally speaking, because you and I are aware of what causes rifts and we try to work through it.
It's
Sometimes we lose the whole ship,
yeah.
but for the most part, we try to like go, okay, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we getting mad about this? This is
Yeah.
dumb, right? So
Yeah, because kind of unfortunately, we are broken in the same ways, just for different reasons.
yeah,
And so it's very, very, very easily triggered both of us at
we
the same
also
time.
both are quite easily ADHD.
Well, I don't know. Yes, I symptomatically sure they fit, right? The pieces fit,
It
but
could also just be trauma causing the same symptoms.
right. And so I don't know that I want to specifically point at this thing and go, that's the reason why I'm this way.
Yeah.
Because then what do I do with that? That's not a fix, right?
Well, I mean, the
there's
trauma
no one to break that down and help me fix that.
Can you fix that if it's caused by trauma though either?
No.
No, right? So does it matter what's causing it?
I guess not, but just being able to, there are moments where I can't even recognize how I feel,
Yeah.
right? Am I okay? Yes, I'm still moving, right?
Right.
But other than that, I can't focus long enough to really feel what I'm feeling. It's
Survival.
I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel that. I try to keep my to-do list very long. Like I'd rather at the end of the day admonish myself for not getting everything done rather than getting everything done and going and then feeling something. It's really shitty thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was not funny, but
It's a really shitty feeling
surprising.
and thing.
It was surprising to hear.
But I'd rather that because
You'd rather
then
stay busy than have to feel anything.
yeah. Yeah.
That's rough. I'm very
I mean,
sorry.
It's hard because I don't have the words for what that is. I don't have the words for like what I'm feeling at any given moment. And some days I just wake up fucking pissed.
So
And I don't know why. And everyone like wants to, understandably they want to crowd around me and love on me. And I'm just like, let's move. Let's let me get my shit done.
Do you feel like if you had a better way to verbalize or articulate how you're feeling, you would be more comfortable with sitting in your feelings?
Yeah, maybe. But
Like if you knew how to say, oh, I'm feeling this and this is why, would that be more comfortable than just feeling something that you don't understand and just not wanting to feel it and not knowing how to ask for help or how to even communicate what it is you're feeling?
yeah, that's true. But that to go down that road is uncomfortable, I think. And that's
Yeah.
hard because then you either have to talk to a therapist or some sort of person that's trained and knows what they're, and I always have kind of a distrust for everyone in
I
that
don't know.
situation.
Yeah, I don't know about therapists either. Like,
That's why I just try to like talk it through with you and then you go, okay. She's frustrated because all of these other things and not me. Right. And so that's the only reason why I say these things is so that there's there's an attic full of crap in there that I'm going through and it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with you at all.
yeah, I think also therapy is very, like, it's almost a crapshoot in a way because they're also human beings.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
And so, like, you might get a good one, but you also might get a shitty one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, like, there's no way to really vet them first.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear all kinds of horror stories about,
Yeah.
therapists that go off
So
script and like make you feel worse.
the best thing I can think of to do is just to talk about things when I feel it, or at least when I have the words, I can say those.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's no judgment, and hopefully there's no like, oh God, that's a lot. And that way I can just say it,
Yeah.
Like I'm very clear with the boys about, okay, now's not a good time for me. I'll talk to you in a couple minutes, or let me get this thing done first and then I'll talk to you. So I try to, but
Yeah. And that can be hard for us because you are very much a silent thinker and I'm very much a talking thinker. Right? Like when we're doing a project together, I talk it out, blah, 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 blah. And you just stare because you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the things I'm thinking and trying to communicate.
Yeah.
And so then we have that kind of clash there where I'll be like, what about this thing? And you'll just be staring into space. I'll be like, babe, what about this thing? Right? Like, cause you're thinking a different way and I'm trying to like talk through it.
Yeah.
So, it's just different ways of approaching different things and learning how to deal with one another in that way.
Or just accept that we have different ways of being, right?
Yeah. I don't think we have to I don't think one of us has to do it like the other.
Yeah.
I just think we have to figure out when we do it together, how do we do it together?
Yeah.
But how to collaborate together as opposed to not saying, no, you have to talk through things or you have to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
right.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I get it.
So what else do you have to talk? What?
That's it.
That's it? That's all of the stuff you want to talk about?
We were late releasing last week's episode, so hopefully we can get this one.
63
Friday
went out this morning.
Friday was just, that day went by in a flash, and that was minivan selling day, and so we just kind of spaced.
It was minivan
completely.
selling day, and I beat myself up because I was late to a standing Friday meeting,
work meeting,
and forgot to say something before we left.
Yeah.
And then we were out for too long, and I felt really bad about it. And so then I was stressed for the rest of the day because when something like that happens, for some reason, it just sets a tone for my whole day.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like upset about that all day. So I forgot about releasing the episode. So we released it this morning.
That's why we say weekly-ish.
Yeah. Well, we released it on Sunday, so it's still this week.
Yeah.
And this episode that you're currently listening to, it should be out on this Thursday that you're listening to it on.
Friday.
And I'm not going to say what day Friday. It's Fridays now. Anyways. All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Aww. If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.